We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park, the championship meet, running now through Florida Derby weekend, March 31st.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. Again, another chilly morning in the Capital District. So hunker down, stay warm, and we will do a little recap of some of the action from yesterday, which was abbreviated because of the weather with some cancellations yesterday across the country. Today, it looks like, and again, they had announced Thursday, I think, or maybe even Wednesday, that the weekend was canceled at Oaklawn. So no Oaklawn today, but also no Laurel. But at this point, it looks like the other expected tracks will be in action. We'll see. It's hard to believe. Looking at my thermometer on the way down, seeing 9 degrees, it's hard to believe in New York, but we'll see. At this point, we're good to go there. So again, that's going to be the game plan for this afternoon. Win, lose, or draw there in New York on OTB Live this afternoon. I'll be taking a look at Aqueduct, hopefully, and the two Florida tracks as well. We know they're good to go. Gulfstream and Tampa Bay Downs, certainly. So that'll be coming up a little bit later, a couple hours or so, to kick off OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon. Let me alert you what is coming up this week, the week ahead, with promotions here at Capital OTB. Every Wednesday throughout the month, the 1% Florida track bonus. Bet either or both Tampa Bay and Gulfstream Park on Wednesdays. And you hit the thresholds, the player rewards program. You get a little extra money. That's every Wednesday during the month of January. Coming up on Friday, the Bounty Bet returns. It's going to be the late pick 5 at Gulfstream Park. So keep that in mind coming up on Friday. Friday, there's also going to be a happy hour bankroll here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Going to have a fun little twist. I will be out playing on behalf of the bankroll team that will be randomly selected. So come on down, see if you can get on the team. At the end of the day, we split up any winnings. But also during the afternoon, one team member will get $100 to make a wager for the bankroll team, him or herself. So that should be fun. That extra little twist on the happy hour bankroll coming up Friday right here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Saturday at the Racebook, it's a $100 knockout challenge. A little extra fun at the Clubhouse Racebook Friday and Saturday, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. And as I say every once in a while, I think most people are familiar with it, but if you haven't been here, stop down. We're right off I-90, you hop on the Everett Road exit, head over to Central Avenue, and it's right around the corner. I mean, you're 1 minute away from I-90 right here in Albany, and a convenient place to watch the horses. We have plenty of room, tables, sit at the bar, carols. You can have something to eat, Fredella's. So, again, if you haven't been, we'd love to have you visit the Clubhouse Racebook. All right, yesterday, the big day was obviously down at Fairgrounds. And I didn't check closely, excuse me, their handle numbers, but I'm assuming they must have done very well having the big day down there and having some other tracks on the sidelines. But regardless, it was a good day of racing down there. The undercard, I think, has some horses. We talked about it with Joe Christofek yesterday. There was some of the maiden races, and there will be some horses coming out of that undercard that'll be worth watching going forward. But certainly on the stakes side of things, that was the case as well. The highlight of the day, obviously, along that 3-year-old trail down in Louisiana was the LeCompte Grade 3 event, couple $100,000 up for grabs. I was slightly surprised. I mean, I like Track Phantom coming out of the win in the Gun Runner. So I was slightly surprised that the betting public tilted towards Nash. Not shocked, because Nash was the big favorite in the gun runner off that maiden breaker at Churchill, which was just eye-popping. But in his stakes debut, coming out of the maiden breaker and going into the gun runner, Nash disappointed, obviously, at 1-2 back in December, running relatively well-beaten third. I mean, 3 lengths back. At 1-2, you were expecting a little bit better. But the betting public went right back to Nash yesterday. Again, I was a little bit surprised. They weren't separated by much, but Nash was the favorite. But as they came out of the gate and went into the first turn, Joel Rosario, who was on board Track Phantom, took control, got to the lead, and really had a length or so pretty much all the way around into the stretch, and then just kind of powered away a little bit. The chart margin winds up to be 2 3/4. Number 7 is Track Phantom, and number 2, trying there, is Nash. Nash does hold on clearly to second over Lat Long, who is 27-1, running third in here. But again, Track Phantom for Steve Asmussen comes out of a win in the gun runner and adds this win in the Lecomte yesterday on that 3-year-old trail down at Fairgrounds. So clearly a horse to watch on the current, Derby Triple Crown trail going forward. I did not see a number. Let me just see if quickly I can pull up some of the users. I looked earlier and didn't see a buyer number for Track Phantom. There are a couple of places where they do tend to pop up. If I can pull one up here quickly and see while I wait for that to load. It wasn't a super enticing time, 144.73, as opposed to in the gun runner, 144.42. So ran a little faster in that gun runner last time. Just looking, don't see any numbers there either. Let me just check one more. See if I can get a buyer. Here we go. Here's some of the buyers from yesterday. Track Phantom, a 90. All right, it did move forward, and a 90 at this time of year for a 3-year-old, pretty good number. And again, that's a lifetime best, regardless of the time. The time is a function of how the track's playing all day long and whatnot. So regardless of the time, did kick the buyer number forward a touch off the win in the gun runner. So Track Phantom yesterday, a 90 buyer in the win. And we will see going forward. But obviously, you got the right connections with Steve Asmussen and company. Clark Brewster amongst the owners, been associated with Asmussen for a while, and comes in now 5 starts at this point in the career, 3 wins, a second and a third, and 2 of those wins were stakes. So Track Phantom, certainly a live player on the Derby and the Triple Crown Trail. All right, one race earlier. It was the older division going 1 1/16 in the Louisiana. I took a little pop with 5-Star General, who went off at 11-1. Was coming out of a win in the Tenacious back on December 23rd. That day in December, that was the last day of these stakes races leading into yesterday's lineup of stakes races. And coming off of that one, 6-1 on the morning line. I was a little surprised the betting public kind of ignored 5-Star General at 11-1. They were correct, however. I had Saudi Crown right underneath in the second spot, and I said, with the triple-digit buyers on the resume, I just off the Breeders' Crown Classic, but it just may be the distance was a little out of his realm in that Breeders' Cup Classic. Whereas yesterday, the 1 1/16 hits him square between the eyes, and he essentially takes him all the way around. And the chart margin winds up to be 5 3/4 lengths. Red Route 1, second in there, and Happy American runs third. Smile Happy last. with Ken McPeak coming into the race saying, hopefully he's gotten over his antics. I did not see loading into the gate whether or not he had those antics, but regardless, one way or the other, Smile Happy did not run well, running last in the field of 6 as the 5-2 second choice. So Smile Happy, the disappointment in there, but Saudi Crown, no disappointment, getting it done in the 4-year-old debut. He maybe helps make this older division a little bit intriguing this year. Relatively lightly raced and showed promise last year as a 3-year-old, but again, came into yesterday with only 6 starts, 3 wins, a couple of seconds. We remember him up here at Saratoga as running a very close-up second to Forte in the Jim Dandy, then elects to pass the Travers and go to the Pennsylvania Derby, which he won. And again, the Pennsylvania Derby, the Jim Dandy, and a close-up second in the Dwyer prior to those two, all triple-digit buyers. And yesterday, a 105. So he continues to rack up the triple-digit buyers on the resume. And as I say, he could be a very, very intriguing player going forward in that handicap division, which last year was a little lackluster. And again, we had Guido Barrio put a couple of nice wins on the resume to mix it up in that division. We had Cody's Wish, who was racing well, a little bit shorter than you might want for major players in that division necessarily. So we'll see how it shakes out this year. But Saudi Crown, I think, becomes a very much an interesting player in that division. Now, likely headed to the February 24th 200, not 200, 20 million, 200 would be great, $20 million Saudi Cup off of the win in Louisiana yesterday. We'll see. I mean, that's the game plan, and I would expect that to be the case. But as usual, let's see how he comes out of the race and whatnot. On board, Saudi Crown, Florent Geroux, training Saudi Crown, Brad Cox. Good day for both of them yesterday. Florent Geroux had 5 wins and 7 rides on the card with a couple of seconds. He won 3 stakes. Brad Cox went 4 for 9. 4 wins with 9 runners. He was only in 8 different races, though. And a couple of the wins for Brad Cox were stakes races, including the win with Saudi Crown. So, again, be interesting to keep our eyes on him on the handicap division of things. And being a Brad Cox trainee, I don't think it's out of the question to see him maybe show up right up here. Whitney, end of the meet. So we shall see how that plays out as the season moves along. The Colonel Bradley was for the older horses on the grass yesterday, $100,000 up for grabs. And we got our man Mark Cassie home. I had Strong Quality right underneath. I put Beatbox on top. So my 2 flip-flop. Betting Public had it right, though. Joe Christopher also liked Street Quality. Not Street, Strong Quality. As the 4 to 5 favorite, Strong Quality, again, pretty much takes them all the way around. Gets to be a ding-dong battle as they get close to the wire, though, with Beatbox. As I say, they flip-flop from the way I had them. Strong Quality, 4 to 5 favorite. Beatbox, the 9 to 5 second choice, and they're right there. Bingo, bango, bongo. A head victory, though, for Strong Quality. And again, another one of those winners I talked about earlier for Florent Geroux. But Mark Cassie, who we had on the show yesterday, always like it when the guests follow up with a nice win, and managed to do that yesterday. And I'm just looking. I don't see it. Looks like there may not be turf buyers on the list I found. But Strong Quality was a nice performance for that one. And Mark had said, good horse, has the potential to be a great, really nice horse. Great might be too strong, but a really, really good runner. It just has kind of come up a little bit short maybe, but maybe on his way this season as a 5-year-old to living up to those kind of expectations, because that was a nice little game. And you like to see that nice when they're ding-dong, and then you come out on the high end of that. That always says a lot about the horse and the mentality and whatnot. So Strong Quality, Florent Geroux, Mark Cassie, winners yesterday of the Colonel Bradley down at the fairgrounds. Silver Bullet Day, the Lecomte on the boys' side, on the 3-year-old side, leading into the Derby. The 3-year-old filly series of races down there leading into, obviously, the Kentucky Oaks. I liked West Omaha. West Omaha, again, that big day on December 23rd, there was a number of stakes like yesterday in the various divisions. And on the 3-year-old filly side of things, back in December, it was the Untappable. Alpine Princess won that, but West Omaha ran second for Brad Cox. Only her third career start. It was the first start after the Maiden Breaker. That's a tough call to come out of the Maiden Breaker and then go into a stakes race. And so a nice second, I thought, did bode well for her, and she follows up yesterday, West Omaha, with a win in the Silver Bullet Day. She's going to be the number 6. Perfect shot for Steve Asmussen, who I had second, ran second, and Sistina Chapel runs third in here. But it is West Omaha now running a record to 4 starts, couple of wins, couple of second-place finishes, puts a stakes win on the resume. The chart margin, again, winds up to be 5 lengths. Perfect shot, a clear second for Asmussen. She's probably one to watch, too. I mean, well beaten in here, but that was only her 4th start and her first try in stakes company. She had just broken the maiden in her previous start. So, again, perfect shot. Tough assignment, maiden breaker into a stakes race, but the second place finish, I think, as they say, did bode well for her. West Omaha winds up with an 84 buyer. That's a lifetime best for her. So she moved forward as well. And 3-year-old filly this time of year at 84 is decent. So to me, both of those are worth watching going forward. Sistina Chapel for Ken McPeak was coming out of a third in the Untappable. Now has put a couple of stake thirds on the resume. Again, it was a fairly well-beaten third, but she, a player in the division in some fashion, you would think, but certainly West Omaha stamps herself as one to watch. Luis Saez was on board, and again, it was a Brad Cox trainee, and as I said, Brad had a nice day yesterday as well, and that was clearly one of the very nice runs and wins for Brad Cox and company. Also, the Marie Krantz Memorial, $100,000 for the ladies on the turf. I like Lovely Princess going out for Ken McPeak, and Lovely Princess, runs an okay third in here as with the second choice. Tufani, the number 9, went off as the 7-5 favorite, came out of a win in the Pay-Go Hop. I said I had Lovely Princess, the one on top. In the third spot, though, I had Creative Cairo, who ran a close-up second behind Lovely Princess in the Blushing KD. Again, the late December lineup of stakes. And you can see it's a nice run here on the outside to get it done. Pretty convincingly in the end, a length and a half for Creative Cairo. Coming out of the close-up second, they kind of let that one get away a little bit. Lindsay Schultz trains. We've talked about Lindsay Schultz for a couple of months now as being a trainer to kind of watch, and gets a nice stakes victory yesterday with Creative Cairo at 5-1. You got $13 coming out of a near miss in the Blushing KD. 4-1 on the morning line, but went up from that. Joined the dance. The number 8 runs second at 14-1. A little bit of a price there. And Lovely Princess, the horse I liked, ran third. Again, it's the 2-1 second choice. Tufani, as I say, I had Tufani in the second spot, and I thought maybe the morning line was 5-2 on Tufani. I just thought the horses out of the Blushing KD would maybe take the action, and Tufani would escape a little bit. But not only didn't escape, went off as the favorite, but winds up running fourth in there. Again, helping add value. If you liked Creative Cairo, you wanted to see Tufani get the favoritism and wind up getting a nice price. As I say, off the close-up second in the Blushing KD, that $13 and change price seemed to be kind of a gift. Florent Giraud on board, again, part of his very nice day yesterday as well. All right, and we had one more stake on the card yesterday. maybe tough for me to watch because yesterday, if you were watching OTB Live yesterday afternoon, they talk about those photo finishes and DQs. You always talk about, well, they all even out in the end. You lose some, you win some. I had 3 or maybe 4 overall yesterday. Finishes that under the wire, I thought, I think I got that. And then they showed the replay and I wasn't sure. And then they put up the results. And sure enough, I didn't have it. And this was one of them in the Kenner. 5.5 on the turf. I really like Just Might. You can see Just Might there is in the lead, the number 1 horse. But Sasua Summer is coming for Bill Mott. Came back over from Florida. These two ran 1-2 with Just Might winning the Shearer Memorial back on December 23rd. Still looks like Just Might's going to grind it out here, but continuing to come is Sasua Summer. And watch under the wire. I still thought I had it with Just Might, but boy, it was close. And there you can see. And it may be hard to tell with your television screen. You got to take a good close look at it. There is just a smidge of air in between Just Might's nose and the wire there. That was rough. And as they say, it was a day where I probably had 3 or 4 of those, and they all went the wrong way. The law of averages said, and there was some at Fairgrounds. And again, there was one at Tampa that was, we had the 8-1 Caraconte firster that had same thing coming under the wire. I got this, and the photo just went the other way at Gulfstream as well. So as I say, it was a day where, that was rough. But nice performance by Sasua Summer. Again, and nice training for Bill Mott, looking at the condition book, based over at his Payson Park base over in Florida, but they elected to come to Fairgrounds for the Shearer Memorial in December and ran a nice second there. And then they elected to come back for the Kenner yesterday and take down the better portion of the $100,000 purse with that much victory over Just Might. And as I said, Just Might, I said yesterday, easy horse to root for. Just been fun throughout the career. Now 8 years old, been a performer, turf and dirt on the sprint side, stakes quality, turf and dirt sprinter. Going into yesterday, 49 starts, 12 wins, 8 seconds, 10 thirds, over $1 million for Just Might. And again, another good performance. Had to be super frustrating for the connections and me that just got nipped. But another nice performance for Just Might. But Sasua Summer getting it done. Luis Saez on board for Bill Mott. All right, we will take a look now over at Florida. They had a little stakes action yesterday as well. And another one where I got zapped out. This one wasn't quite as, when you get zapped out at 1-2, I mean, I was not all over this horse, obviously, at the price. But I did have Octane on top. In the Sunshine Classic, yesterday at 1 1/16 at Gulfstream. Again, it was restricted to Florida breds, and Octane had run well in open company, and a couple of restricted stakes on the resume had won those. So yesterday, as they say, goes off at 1-2, and you can see has a big battle here with Lure Him In. And Lure Him In, I think I have it, and then not, and then comes Ben, the Bob of the, and yeah, I lost the Bob again. It was that kind of a day. Lure Him In over Octane. I had Lure Him In the mix. That one made sense too, moving into this restricted company. But as I say, it was a day of those kind of finishes. The chart margin winds up to be ahead, and I didn't see the photo on that one, because it's hard to believe it was actually a head as compared to a nose, because it really was. Looked like a bingo bango on the Bob, but on the Bob in the photo, Octane comes up a little bit short. Lure Him In winds up getting it done and offers some good value. I will say, on the morning line, I think Lure Him In, was the second choice at 5-2. Octane was the 7-5 favorite, but they separated much more than that by the time they went off. As I say, Octane was 1-2, Lure Him In 7-1. So you got $16 and change on the nice gutsy performance coming down the lane there and getting the bob under the wire for Lure Him in yesterday's Sunshine Classic. Again, kind of a quiet little stake leading into the quiet before the storm, because next week, Pegasus week down at Gulfstream. So looking forward to that with the Pegasus and the Pegasus turf, Philly and Maynard turf. So it should be a big day down at Gulfstream next week. Yesterday, that little restricted stake, not quite as compelling, other than the fact it turned out to be a really kind of fun race. And I just wanted to pull up also the La Cañada yesterday from Santa Anita. Byron is 16th for this one. And it was kind of interesting in that the favorite was Midnight Memories at 4-5. That one is going to wind up third. Field of 5 in here. And at 4-5, the number 6 Midnight Memories was the favorite. Desert Dawn at 9-5 went off as the second choice, number 4 horse in here, under Flavian Prat. Arizona bred. You don't see a lot of those stepping up and getting some graded stakes wins, but does it yesterday and does it pretty convincingly. But what was interesting here as well, this is a nice little 5-year-old that's had a pretty good career overall. Yesterday's victory has to have her approaching $1 million in earnings, but didn't have a win in 7 starts last year. 0 for 7 last year, 3 seconds and a third, but came in yesterday off a second in the middle of December, a second in the Bayacoa behind Midnight Memories, but manages to turn the tables yesterday, again, under Flavian Prat, who I believe I read hadn't been on the horse before, but I think had worked the horse, if I remember reading the recap yesterday, had worked the horse in the morning and kind of had good confidence and lived up to it with the nice win yesterday in the La Cañada out at Santa Anita, and starts off hopefully 2024 will be more productive on the win end now with starting things out. And given the victory, it looks like that is very, very possible. All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll do a little handicapping a little bit later on, some news and notes as well. And maybe we'll take a look also, go through some of the odds, the Kentucky Derby Future Pool, because don't forget, Future Pool 3 closes later today, 6 o'clock today. I've said it the past couple of days. Go to the Kentucky Derby website, and you can do it now, and I'll go over the odds a little bit later. We can take a look and see if there's something of value in there. But if you go to the Kentucky Derby website and click on, I think it's the racing link at the top, or hover over it, a drop-down menu comes. You see Future Wager. So click on Future Wager, and you can come up with some free past performances to take a look at, again, at KentuckyDerby.com. Otherwise, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Again, a little handicapping for this afternoon. Stay tuned.
And they're off in the Pegasus World Cup. They're off in the Fountain of Youth Stakes. And they're off in the Curlin Florida Derby. Forte wins. White Aborio almost home.
And Nyquist is still unbeaten. Orb and John Velasquez have won the Florida Derby.
Barbaro wins.
And there you have it. Northern Dancer will be the winner of the Florida Derby.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
All right, no surprise. Aqueduct is canceled for today. So today on the sidelines, Oaklawn, no racing, Laurel, no racing, and Aqueduct, no racing. And as I say, as I drove down this morning, looked at the dashboard thermometer reading 9 degrees, I thought, tough call to be racing in New York today. But Aqueduct has announced they're canceled for this afternoon. Again, along with Laurel and Oak Lawn, with the frigid, the icebox-like temperatures across much of the country, although it is supposed to start to moderate as we get into later today and tomorrow. Certainly by Tuesday, things will moderate in our area and for much of the other portions of the country as well. I'm going to take a look at the Pick 5 sequence at Tampa. And again, I haven't pulled up any scratches or anything, so I'm not putting an actual ticket together. But we'll go through and take a look at the sequence. And again, yesterday was pretty good day. The Florida tracks have been kind of good to me over the past couple of weeks on the one sheet, and obviously here on the network as well. If you're watching OTB live, just looking yesterday at Tampa, had four out of 9 at Tampa yesterday. Gulfstream, 5 out of 11. We had that $20 winner in the middle of the card as well. So again, the 2 Florida tracks, and last week was very good at Gulfstream as well. So again, we'll see if we can keep that going this afternoon. But we will certainly see if we can give out some ideas right here on that late Pick 5 sequence down at Tampa. Let me see if I can just quickly pull up Tampa weather because there is it looks okay. Looks like no precipitation, so I think we should be okay on the turf because they were okay yesterday. So Tampa's 5th race kicks off that late Pick 5 sequence. Maiden 16 claimers going 8.5 furlongs on the turf at Tampa in the 5th. I have it 4, 3, 1, and 11. I'm going to put Rapid Miss Tappet on top. Couple of starts since arriving at Tampa. Came down. The previous start to Tampa was a start Belmont at Aqueduct back in October. Comes down to Tampa and puts in a couple of okay starts, relatively speaking, at this level. Not spectacular starts, but competitive. I think we'll be competitive again this afternoon. Nice little workout leading into this. I'm not thrilled with Rapid Miss Tappet, but she gets the slight nod in a field that, again, it's a iffy kind of mediocre bunch where I think she may have a little bit of an edge. Dude Fooling Darling in the 2nd spot. Similar scenario. I think the horse is good enough to contend with these. Came over from Gulfstream last time and ran 5th. Wasn't a spectacular 5th by any means, but it was good enough in the bunch today to probably match up. And then the number 1 horse in the mix for me also. Same idea. I think just this particular kind of relatively weak group, I think that one might be able to make a little bit of noise. Back Off Me does come in with a little bit of recency that might prove effective today. I was just a little scared at the 2-turn mile and a 16th being stuck outside like that, the number 11 Back Off Me. But on that most recent race, Back Off Me may do better than my rating here, having that one down the 4th spot. But in the 5th at Tampa, I have it 4, 3, 1, and 11. Race number 6 at Tampa this afternoon. Optional claimer starter allowance. They will go 6.5 furlongs, 8, 3, 1, and 7. I'm going to put Copper Bound on top for Greg Sacco. I like this one a few weeks ago. Nice win towards the end of December. Very nice win. Sammy Camacho hopped on board for that. Won at 7-5. Was expected to win. Broke the maiden. So obviously broke the maiden for a 25 tag. Now comes back in this optional claimer starter allowance. This is, conceivably a saltier bunch, although only one of these has more than 1 victory. So I think is going to match up okay with this group. Copper Bound on top off of that last victory. Again, the question mark will be the class move. but I think she kind of indicated she had reached a kind of a good spot last time. And again, that might have been helped by Sammy Camacho, who's back on board today. So we'll put Copper Bound on top. Chief Lady going out for Greg Sacco, who has the top pick as well. So becomes on the morning line, the longer half of the uncoupled entry, although they're only half a point away on the morning line. It might be interesting to see how they actually shake out, because on the buyers, Chief Lady had a little bit of a better number with the maiden breaker last time. And kind of interesting, clever claim by Greg Sacco and company, claimed out of the career debut, where the horse 24 buyer ran fourth, but then they come back and win, moving up the claiming ladder, and they more than double the buyer to get the win on the front end. They were going 7 furlongs in both of those. They cut back to 6.5. But like the top pick, the question mark here is the class move. To me, with the experience under the belt and maybe having gotten better and better, Copper Bound is a little more of a known quantity that I can feel a little touch more confident with. But Chief Lady certainly a likely player. And then Laconia in the third spot. Like the top two, coming out of a maiden breaker. Like the top pick, comes out of a $25,000 maiden claimer. So it's a class move to be concerned with. But this one is notable because it comes over from Gulfstream Park. So getting that venue class move, which is a positive, moves up as far as the conditions on the page, but is helped by the venue move from Gulfstream, I would think, to be a solid player in here. So number one, Laconia in the mix as well. 6th race at Tampa, 8, 3, 1, and 7. Back on the turf in the 7th race at Tampa this afternoon. Their allowance runners, non-winners of one other than going 8.5 on the grass. I have an AE runner in here who is clearly going to take a lot of action if she scratches in. I have it 14, 11, 10, and 8. Should the 14 not get in, the 5 pulls into my mix. But number 14, too deep on the AE list, so we need a little bit of help with scratches, but not in a million years. And I said, we're likely to take some action if that one scratches in. Why? It's Chad Brown and Peter Brandt. Off of a couple of decent tries to end up last season. Broke the maiden 2 back at Aqueduct, and then just missed an allowance company last time. Both of those as the favorite for Potent Connections. Sammy Camacho named on board. The question mark, and if this one does get in, and as I say, goes off a short price, which is likely with these connections and the record, you could make the argument that maybe we're taking a little stand against with the outside post. Going the mile and a 16th, that might be a knock. I still have the horse on top. If we sneak in off the AE list, but if you're playing around, or if the horse doesn't make it in from the AE list. I thought Classic Vinyl was very interesting for Graham Motion. 10-1 on the morning line. Lightly raced, 4-year-old, only 5 career starts, but the start up at Delaware last time was nice. Nice little second against Optional Claiming Company. It was in October, though. That's maybe the knock, but the horse has been working steadily here at Tampa. Graham Motion having an okay meet with some limited starters. I thought, again, at 10-1, that the price seems very generous on a horse that I think could be live in here, number 11, Classic Vinyl. Fascia Bella in the second spot off a couple of nice tries, a 4th 2-back and a 3rd last time on the arrival at Tampa. Both of those, I think, were good enough to mix it up in with this crew this afternoon. And then in the 3rd position, I'll use Saratoga Gaze. Kathleen O'Connell, runner, who also has put in a couple of nice tries here at Tampa this season. A close-up second and a win last time in starter allowance. And so I think class-wise, off of that starter allowance victory, I think is a square fit class-wise in here. Again, if the If the 14 doesn't get in, the 5 Gabby Squared pulls in coming down from Woodbine, and I think will be live as well. But we'll see. We'll have to wait for scratches here to see how it shakes out in the 7th at Tampa. But I have it 14, 11, 10, and 8. And as I say, the 14 doesn't get in. We'll take an extra look at the 5. The 8th race at Tampa this afternoon, optional claimer, non-winners of one other than going a quick 5.5. In the 8th at Tampa, I have a 2, 1, 3, and 8. Wara on top. Question mark here is the surface. This is a horse that throughout the career has mainly been on turf and synthetic. And I'm just looking, everything on the page is turf and synthetic. Does have some dirt tries, however, and they were okay. But more importantly for me, the 2 workouts down at Tampa were very good. They were bullet workouts. So I don't think the surface switch is going to be a big obstacle. And now we're second off a layoff. And I thought the first off the layoff start would add some fitness to this horse. And I was also attracted by the fact that Sammy Camacho hopped on board for the comeback race last time and now is back on board today. So there must be some confidence from Sammy Camacho and his camp to stick on board. So I'll go with Wara. Don't think that one's invincible, though. Fly Away coming off a couple of wins most recently is very interesting. Class-wise, I think it's going to stack up okay. That's the question mark, though. Clever claim for Wayne Potts, 2-back claim for 5,000. Then they bounced up to the 12-5 level and won that. And improved from 2 starts back to last time, number-wise. And so the win last time, again, proved it was a clever claim. And now they moved to this level, and I think it's going to fit okay. The class is the question mark, though, for that one. But I think given the current form, current maybe improving form, I think that's an okay play. The 4-1 on the morning line, if that holds, I think that's about right. Where Paradise Lay in the 3rd spot. 3 starts back at Delaware, a close-up 2nd, and then came down to Tampa and kind of went backwards, ran a well-beaten 3rd, 2 starts back, and last time 8th, a very well-beaten 8th. Those were in against a little bit saltier, though. I have a feeling Where Paradise Lay is probably better than the finishing positions in the last couple of starts. And I think maybe with just a touch of a dose of class relief, that one maybe gets back to a better performance this afternoon. Road to Stardom in the mix for me. John Jay, I think, could be a player if you're looking around. Maddie's Dream, I draw a line through that last race. Just off the long layoff, that last race makes me think maybe she went in the wrong direction. But you can point to a few. This 8th race has the potential to offer a little bit of value in the pick plays if you're playing this afternoon. In the 8th, 2, 1, 3, and 8. And in the 9th and final at Tampa today, we're looking at maiden specials, again, scheduled on the turf at a mile. I have it 9, 1, 2, and 11. I'm going to put Take Your Seats on top. It's Chad Brown. It's Klarovich, a first-time starter. And Chad is productive when he makes this move over to Tampa, has been certainly over the past few years. And with Klarovich, I say it often, they tend to be win early type connections. And so I think this horse will be well meant on the move from the East Coast of the state over the West Coast for the career debut. 6-1 on the morning line. I'll happily take that on these connections. Gaelic Charm, another first-time starter from Chad Brown, this one owned by Peter Brandt. So again, they're coming over from their Payson Park base to debut over here at Tampa. And I think that will be a productive move for both of these horses. Take your Chad, take your pick, maybe do the Chad Zacta in here, going 9-1 and or 1-9. 3rd spot, Zengali's King, coming off a 5th place finish last time at a mile and an 8th, but was right in the thick of things a little earlier. So I think the cut back to a mile might prove to be a nice tonic for that one. If Salacious gets in from the AE list, you might want to take a look at that runner as well. But for me, in the 9th and final at Tampa, 9, 1, 2, and 11. Again, we'll be looking at Tampa coming up a little bit later on, OTB Live. We're down to the two Florida tracks now because, again, if you weren't tuned in just a few minutes ago, Aqueduct did cancel for today. Also canceled for today, Oaklawn and Laurel. But again, OTB Live in a little over an hour or so will come on, and we'll take a look at some Gulfstream and some Tampa for this afternoon and live vicariously. Although, as I've said the last few days, not super vicariously because it looks like it's a little cool down there, cooler than you would like if you were traveling to Florida, albeit significantly warmer than here. So we live kind of vicariously through the two Florida tracks over the past few days and this afternoon as well. All right, we'll take a little break. When we come back, we'll take a look at some news and notes for the day and also take a look at the Derby Future Pool, see where there might be some value for you to jump into, as that will close at 6 p.m. today. And again, you can go to the Kentucky Derby website and pull up some free past performances if you like to pull them up as we look at the latest odds on the Derby Future Pool. Right after this, stay tuned.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
In front, but here comes Hot Chaparral. Hot Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Falbrough. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a three-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
I'll toss out one more buyer from yesterday. And again, I said when we talked with Joe Christofek yesterday about the card, we said great stakes action at the fairgrounds, but the undercard, as is normal on these big days, the undercard intriguing as well. And on the 3-year-old side of things, typically early in the year, you'll have some maiden races or maybe some first-level allowance races that will produce runners going forward to keep our eyes on. That was the case yesterday in the 5th at the fairgrounds. 3-year-old maiden special weight runners going a mile and a 16th. The winner was Hall of Fame, a 94 buyer. Solid number, good-looking performance, but more notably some connections that you can appreciate and would think will have ambitions with this one. It's trained by Steve Asmussen, owned by Magnier and Tabor. And also a little local rooting interest. I like to root for the horses coming out of the sale up the turnpike. And this one was sold. Hall of Fame, again, we're talking about. And you have to think when they name, every once in a while, how often do you handicap the name? But every once in a while, a horse will get named after a person, or will get something like this Hall of Fame. You think, yeah, okay, they had some ambitions there. But this one was sold in August of 2022 up at Facing Tipton in Saratoga, a mere $1.4 million. Had debuted at Churchill in November, went off as the 9-5 favorite and wound up second that day. But comes back yesterday and lives up to the big price and the connections and whatnot. Hall of Fame getting it done with a 94 buyer yesterday. Second career start, broke the maiden. We'll see where they go next with this one. But as they say, with those connections, you would think a big performance like that will lead them to take their shot, as it were. All right, as I promised earlier, going to take a look and see what the situation is. We're a couple days in to the Derby Future Pool. Derby Future Pool 3, it opened on Friday. It closes today at 6 o'clock. And again, we're in January. You want to, if you're taking a shot, you want to look for some value. I don't know if there's value with the favorites. There is one horse in single digits. That's Fierceness at 7-1. And we'll see. He may live up to that 7-1, but you're probably in a 20-horse field. You can probably get decent odds on Derby Day as well. And 7-1, I say, a lot of people say, you want value when you're in these early pools in particular, because you just have to make it to the starting gate. And that's still a big ask for things just to go right for a few months. And so in January, 7-1 is probably a little slim. I think I'm looking 20-1 or better, and the higher the better. So let me just see if we have any others on the list at under 20-1. Fierceness, again, is the 7-1 favorite among the single entrants. All others, I'll mention that all others to me, and we'll see if it holds up as we get closer to 6 o'clock. I'm thinking that the value may come out of this. All others is 3-1. And if that holds, about 5 o'clock this afternoon, if I look and that's still there, I'm jumping in at all others at 3-1. All others has changed a little bit over the past couple of years as they have expanded the number of horses. I mean, it was for a while, you had 23, you had 24 entrants, but one of them was all others. So you had 23. Now there's 40 individual betting interest. One of those, though, is all other 3-year-olds. And so it has expanded to the point now where there's a little more value, and all others isn't as potent. It's still pretty good, though. I mean, if you pick up all others in January, you're going to wind up with a few horses going into the starting gate. And so 3-1, and that includes, I'm relatively certain, I looked at the list, I thought last night. Yeah, that includes Hall of Fame, the horse we just talked about yesterday. And there'll be more of that. So you could wind up with some interesting horses in the starting gate. And again, it'll be a little handful if you pick up a January all others. So that 3-1 looks interesting there. But again, going down the list and looking for horses that are less than 20-1, locked, 15-1. Again, I would consider that a little bit short. Sierra Leone at 12-1. Chad Brown runner coming out of a maiden breaker in the debut and a close-up second to Dornoch in the Remsen. So that one taking some action at 12-1. Again, that seems short this time of year. 15-1 on Track Phantom, who was the nice winner yesterday. That's justified, and that becomes almost interesting at 15-1, but I still think it's a little early for that. Horses that are maybe intriguing in here. I will say there was buzz last week. The performance by Conquest Warrior for Shug had some trouble and was a nice winner down at Gulfstream. And we're just outside my limit here to make this one a little bit interesting. As I said, 20-1, Conquest Warrior, 21-1. I may take a look at that by the end of the day. Did I mention Dornoch? Dornoch is at 17-1, the sibling to Mage. So that one, again, a little bit below where I'm intrigued to kind of take a look. I did look earlier and checked a couple that to me are interesting. Oh, I'll also mention Nash. Nash, off the second place finish yesterday, Nash is now 33-1. But he's now put two together behind Track Phantom. But at 33-1, given the maiden breaker, which was at Churchill, maybe take a modest shot at Nash, maybe. Otello is interesting to me. A couple of starts, a couple of wins for Christophe Clement, including the Macho Man at Gulfstream. And Otello is sitting currently at 57-1. Otto the Conqueror, 3 wins and 4 starts in a second for Steve Asmussen. One of those wins was in the Springboard Mile, which I don't know how productive you can count on that to be going into the Kentucky Derby, but it is Steve Asmussen, a 3-for-4 runner out of the Conqueror, sitting at 83-1. Again, maybe worth a little look. Parchment Party at 53-1 goes out for Bill Mott off a 2-for-2 record so far. Both of those wins being at Churchill Downs. So Parchment Party is interesting. And this is the kind you're looking for, that lightly raced. They've done very well, still maybe some upside potential, but unlike a Track Phantom, they just haven't stepped into this company that is starting to define the class. And so they're getting maybe a little bit overlooked. Real Men Violin for Ken McPeak, last seen running second in the Kentucky Jockey Club, and that one is sitting at 87-1. So there are a few horses in here that, again, if you pull up those PPs, and as I said earlier, you can get the free PPs at the Kentucky Derby website. Pull those up, and if you look through, you can have a little fun just putting a couple bucks or $5 on a few horses, spread it around a little bit. And again, as I say, if you do that, you pick 2 or 3 out and just put a couple of bucks on. You put $5 on a horse at 83-1. And that one goes into the starting gate at the Kentucky Derby, you have a little fun. And if you have 2 or 3 of those, and then, as I say, maybe a little punch on the all others, Kentucky Derby Day, you might wind up, you have maybe 6 or 7 horses in the gate that you can kind of root for. And then on Derby Day itself, you can bet other horses that are more appealing to you by that time, but you have the kind of the fun little backups as well. So don't forget Kentucky Derby Future Pool closing today at 6 o'clock, Future Pool 3. And again, KentuckyDerby.com. You can click on the future wager link, and you'll find free past performances. All right, let me remind you what's coming up this week at Capital OTB. Nice month of promotions here in January. Wednesdays throughout the month, the $1, the 1% Florida track bonus. That includes Tampa Bay Downs and Gulfstream Park. You can bet either or both to get to the levels needed for the player rewards program, but you can get a 1% bonus. Florida track bonus days every Wednesday in January. Friday, the Bounty Bet returns. It'll be Gulfstream Park. Late pick 5 coming up this Friday. Take your shot at the Bounty. All you have to do is play the late pick 5 at Gulfstream and play it with your Capital OTB bet account. And you're just playing against the other people playing via Capital OTB bet. So have a little extra fun on Friday with the Bounty Bet. Friday also, definitely a little extra fun with a happy hour bankroll. I'll be here at the clubhouse. We will randomly select the team on Friday afternoon. I'll play with the $300. And at the end of the day, we split up any winnings, but an extra bonus during the afternoon. One team member will get randomly selected to put down $100 to wager for the team as well. So should be fun. That's coming up Friday right here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany, the same spot that Saturday will have the $100 Knockout Challenge. So a couple of fun promotional days coming up here at the Racebook Friday and Saturday. Love to have you come down here today. If you want to stay warm, we're warm out here in the Clubhouse Racebook. Come down and enjoy racing with a group of folks. Have a little lunch at Ferdella's. And don't forget, you can always watch the weekend sports on our TVs here as well as the racing. So love to see you here at the Racebook this afternoon. Also, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, Seth Merrow for Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. I'll be back as usual in about an hour or so for OTB Live, 12:10 post time at Gulfstream. So we'll jump in a little before the opener down at Gulfstream today to give some thoughts the afternoon. I'll take a look at a little Gulfstream and a little Tampa. Again, if you weren't tuned in earlier, Aqueduct is canceled. Oaklawn, Laurel also on the sidelines today, but we will have plenty of fun and plenty of good action right here on the network and via Capital OTB Bet for you to take part in. So tune in again a little bit later on OTB Live when we come back for that. Otherwise, as always, appreciate your tuning in this morning. And again, inviting you back for OTB Live this afternoon, just a little after noontime as we'll kick it off on a Sunday afternoon. So we'll see you then. We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park, the championship meet, running now through Florida Derby weekend, March 31st.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.
Turn is Pet Matt trying to rectify that as